Hello there, welcome to Heart Explain Therapy, a special sort of hopefully 15-20 minute video that's going to help you by connecting how sports psychology can be taken up in your life and help with your mental health. Now, I've often been thinking and admiring great sports sort of players, football players, fighters, and wondering how they manage to get to the heights that they do. And not often do they talk about much mental health. However, recently we've seen the likes of Tyson Fury come out and say that he did suffer with mental health and how the sport actually helped him. So I thought I'd look into this sports psychology, and I've realised that there's stuff that can, for you to do that can actually just, I suppose, make you feel better in the reality that you're in right now. And I wrote a few notes down. One of the first ones that I like to say is self-talk. What do you say to yourself? Now, I looked at Muhammad Ali for this. He often said, "I am the greatest," to the cameras. But I found a bit of information that said that years before he was even famous for his boxing skills, he would say this over and over again: "I am the greatest," internally. Now, what this does is obviously makes him believe that he is what he is saying that he is. So what are you saying to yourself? I know in my dark times of mental health, what I'm saying is, actually, I'm not good enough. I haven't met the expectations that I've set myself. I'm not doing enough. Now, these aren't going to create a mindset of basically positivity. It's not going to make a mindset that makes you motivated. And I think in your mental health or your negative behaviour, this is an important thing to talk to yourself and say the right words. You are the greatest, you've achieved what you need to achieve. And then just see how that mindset lifts you out of your current mood. One of the other things that are a little bit connected with this, I recently heard that Conor McGregor said that he'd already won the fight mentally in his head. Now, this is talking about visualization. Now, visualization is a tricky one because there's a key part of visualization that you must get right. It's not just visualizing a different reality mentally. You've got to connect it with your senses. You've got to sort of, in your imagination, use your senses of touch, taste and feel to sort of set up the environment that you want. Again, this rises a negative sort of inner dialogue or inner imagination, which is usually probably overthinking about the worst case scenarios. And this will make you, again, lift to a imagination and a creative place that, again, is just changing and altering feelings. Changing and altering feelings is the most important thing to do if you're stuck with certain mental health traits that sort of mean that you can spend weeks and weeks in turmoil. So it's another great tip from the sporting world that athletes use. Now, one of the other things I've noticed, they have extreme discipline for the training that goes in to be successful. They have massive amounts of dedication to wake up early and do what they need to do. They also have a combination of coaches and a support team around them to do this. So linking this to our mental health, we need a support system around us, friends and family. Now, maybe you're in a place where you don't speak to that many people because you don't think they'll understand. Set up this coaching system that will support you. Marathon runners often have sometimes between 10, 20, even 40 pacemakers. They set the pace and they actually set up the victory for a certain marathon runner. The same sort of thing in cyclists. There's a team that allows one person to thrive. Get your team and get dedicated to And this can be anything that you want to get dedicated, but set up a discipline. Lots of the mental health helpers sort of guides suggest a certain specific hobby for you to adopt. Reading, meditating, cold showers. I think what's crucial is that you do something that you don't normally do to change the past, which changes the present, which obviously changes the future. And let's just say we pick 3 cold showers a week. The successful feeling that you get from completing this task is the dedication, is the discipline, and it shows you can change. And I think this is important, again, taken from sports psychology, but taken into your own life can be very positive. Now, I know one of the big things that people have, and I've made a couple of videos on anxiety, and I thought that how come certain sports stars can relax in such an environment where surely they would be having a panic attack or an anxiety feeling? And I discovered that lots of them do, of course, have anxiety. Even the likes of Pete Sampras and Roger Federer have said that they had butterflies in the 5th or 6th final of a tournament in Wimbledon. So this shows that what they're actually good at is handling this anxiety, and I would say changing the anxiety. I found a quote from Chris Hoy, who said that he would never tell himself that he was anxious, even though that's what he was. He said he would call it being adrenalised. Now, this is a very clever thing to do, to change the inner dialogue again to something that's positive and you're looking forward to something. Now, those butterfly feelings of excitement and anxiety are both very similar, but excitement lifts your mood, it lifts your motivation, so it can only be a great thing. Now, one of the other things that I thought about is, I'm not saying to use all this for you to go out there and be a superstar in a specific sport, but if you could take a few of these habits and adapt them into your life, only a few, I mean, I would argue that possibly one of these tips would be enough to change you in your current situation. Now, if you adopt a few more of these, dedication and discipline, a support system around you, and took the psychology of the sports person and maybe put it in towards you being the best version of yourself, regardless of any massive goals in the outside world, but just for you to improve your mental health, for you to be the gold medalist of your life independently, change from the past where you might consider yourself not even a bronze medalist at the moment. You might be one of those people who actually think that bad that you wouldn't even get picked for the team. But with these tips put into your life, you would get a sense of direction, a positive, uplifting feeling, and if you see some of them, visualization costs you nothing at all. It doesn't really take a lot of time. Changing inner dialogues where you're feeding yourself positivity, which can just higher esteem. It's not you running at 4 o'clock in the morning up a steep hill 10 miles up, 10 miles down. So these are actually great goals that sports people use every day. If we can adopt these into our life naturally, within, I would say, a few weeks, you're going to feel such the benefit. I mean, let's just say you did just one of these things, cold shower tomorrow morning, and you go for a 5-minute walk. The positive reaction that you're going to feel from that is going to lift you to a place that you've probably not felt for a long time. And what I would say is, it's easy to watch a video, but you're the one who's going to have to carry this out now. So where does that first bit of motivation come to get these sort of systems started? Well, I believe that you just have to do. Forget about creating motivation. You just have to change what you normally do. So if your routine is get out of bed late after a late night, and you lounge around and put the news on first thing in the morning, then it's quite obvious that you need to get up at a bit of an earlier time, chalk an hour off the time that you're getting up. Of course you're going to be tired and groggy because you're not used to it, but get straight into a shower. Wake up, drink your coffee, and just go straight out for a walk. Just try it. There's no reason you can't do that. You can pretend that you have this mental health that stops you, but really what it boils down is that you just don't want to shift that mindset. Shift that paradigm. Be active. Do something. Just do the action of going for a walk. And then tell me how you feel. And once you do this often enough, you are out of the fog. You would want to do it even more, and you start to realise how sluggish and bad you felt before. So, using sports psychology, the tips that I found with a bit of research was, for me, perfect tips for mental health. So, you know what? What's stopping you? Give it a blast first thing in the morning. Give it a blast and try. One simple change could be enough to snowball to a whole new paradigm shift, which takes you to a whole new reality. And if the external world doesn't change that much, at least the internal world feels a little bit better. And that's all that we're going for, is a feeling that feels nicer than the one that we currently have, or that we currently have for the most amount of time. That's worth its weight in gold.